Thank you very much for tuning in. My name is John Michael. I represent Pro Life Nova Scotia, and we are talking today not about the usual topic of the birth control, but actually the medical assistance in dying. Medical assistance in dying is a creepy kind of thing where the maid, usually you order maid for cleaning service, but this one, the maid, she kills you. So you order it. Hey, listen, maid, you have any availability, for my death? And she's all like, yeah, yes, I will come to your house and kill you. Right? That's maid. Okay, so anyway, you're calling maid. She comes in, and is she a trained anesthesiologist? Well, no, she's just going to give the propofol and rocuronium and all this stuff, and then boom, right, you're dead, right? But it's a little bit more than that. Okay, so the story about the crows will come in a little bit later. I'll tell the story about the crows, I promise. But first, we're going to understand what actually happens when the medical assistant and dying lady comes to kill you. Okay, so let's say, for example, you are the patient, if you want to call yourself that, the victim. I prefer the term victim. Okay, so you're the victim, and you're going to get mated, right? So basically, what happens? There's a paralytic agent, and then it basically freezes your entire body. Oh, he's at peace. Well, yeah, I'm at peace because you just gave me a paralytic agent. I can't move or scream or do anything because the paralytic agent, right? So then the paralytic agent takes effect, and then this thing. Oh my goodness, what's going on? My lungs are filling up with fluid. Anyway, apparently it's the most agonizing, most painful, and cruel death that anybody can ever imagine. It's like drowning inside of your own body. If you didn't have the paralytic agent, you'd be screaming and you'd be like, I changed my mind. I don't want to die this way, but you can't because of the paralytic agent. Anyway, medical assistance in dying without the presence of an anesthesiologist is just grotesque. I mean, this whole thing is indefensible. I mean, so this rabbit hole just basically hits the wall. I mean, there's nothing else to talk about. It's just wrong, and the whole thing is just complete garbage. But it keeps on going, right? So anyway, I emailed I think I mentioned that in the group that I emailed the Minister of Health. And the Minister of Health, yeah, no problem. It doesn't hurt at all, and all this stuff, and this rock uranium and all this stuff. Okay, well, first of all, who do you think I am? A snake in the road? Like, there's just your claim, right? There's no evidence at all, and the whole thing about it is that medical assistance in dying without the presence of an anesthesiologist is indefensible, right? And anyway, so I analyze it, right? I analyze the response. It's just a bunch of nonsense, right? And even the Chat GPT is all like, what kind of nonsense, garbage response is this? So then, obviously it's nonsense, right? Because, and like I said, I mean, this is not a very deep rabbit hole. I mean, once you're like, hey, this is wrong. The other topic that I was talking about, okay, it branches out to so many different things, but this one really, just hits the end of the rabbit hole, and we're just left with, okay, medical assistance in dying without the presence of an anesthesiologist is wrong. Period. I mean, there's nothing else. All right, the crows. So Denise, nice lady. I mean, I remember Denise. Denise, there's nothing wrong with her. I can't say anything bad about her. She was a nice lady. She lived in my hometown and all this stuff. Yeah, very nice lady. Denise, her name was. Anyway, she took the maid when it was early, right? This is in the early stages of the rollout of the maid program, medical assistance in dying. Not the maid, the cleaning lady, but the maid, the death lady. Right? So this lady comes in and kills you. Right? It's called maid, medical assistance in dying. Right? A terrible thing. So, anyways, Denise got maided or whatever. She could, she was the victim or the patient or whatever you want to call yourself. And the crows started laughing and laughing and laughing. The crows, quack, quack, quack. Right, the crows, right? The stories about the crows, right? So the guy told me the story, and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's terrible. And then the crows, and then that's even more creepy. And the whole thing about the no anesthesiologist, I mean, that's even creepier. And then the response from the health minister, that's even worse. And the health minister got this third party to write a letter or something like that. And then the crows, right? The crows. So the crows are crowing, crow, 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 or craw, or caw, or whatever you want to say, whatever onomatopoeia you want the crows to do. What sound does the crows produce? Anyway, they're laughing or whatever you want to say. Quack, quack, quack. and this lady's dying. She's literally dying right there. She's screaming in pain and agony. Oh, the lungs are filling up with fluid and all this stuff. But she can't scream because of the paralytic agent. But then the crows, and the crows won't shut up. And then this lady's dying in agony. And it's like, ugh, it shivers up and down my spine just telling that story, man. Oh, it's not a laughing matter at all. It's just I'm not. Maybe I'm smiling a little bit, and I shouldn't be smiling. But anyway, this lady was a nice lady, though, Denise. I remember. Oh man, anyways, so the whole point about the, that's it. What else you want to talk about? Medical assistants in dying without the presence of an anesthesiologist? Yeah, that's perfectly reasonable. All right? No, it's not reasonable to have medical assistants in dying without the use of an anesthesiologist. But then you're going to say, well, why isn't there an anesthesiologist present in the medical assistants in dying program? Well, probably because they're a real doctor and they don't want to perform that kind of non-doctory thing, right? The whole point about the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm. You're a doctor. You're supposed to help people, right? And okay, one more thing. This is not about, I agree with medical assistants in dying. It's not about that, okay? I agree or don't agree. Everybody that, okay, I don't agree with medical assistants. I'm some Christian or whatever. I do agree with medical assistants. I'm some atheist or whatever. That's not the topic of the days. I don't care about that, right? The topic of the life is precious and all that stuff. Okay, baby, okay, but this guy's a terminally ill patient or whatever. That's not the topic of the day. The topic is, and everybody's going to agree. Everybody across the board, the atheists, the hardcore militant atheists over there, right? Pro-abortion atheists, evolutionists, heliocentricists, and Big Bang Theory guys, all the way to the creation, 6,000-year-old Earth, flat Earth, geocentric Earth. Everybody across the board can agree that a medical assistance in dying requires the presence of an anesthesiologist. I mean, that's just basic facts. I don't know, why do I even need to make this video? I just get the crow. Ugh, it's creeping me out. I just have to say craw one time. It reminds me of the Raven, man. Every time I read that poem, it reminds me of the crows. This poor lady here, Denise, man. She died way too young. I think she was in her early 50s or maybe 55 or 56 or something like that. Way too young, right? The whole thing about the cancer. I don't know if chemotherapy is working. It's not a very good therapy. Therapy. What's the difference between a therapy and a cure? Oh, it doesn't matter. We got anesthesiologist free maid here. You don't need we can bypass that. We just put some rocuronium and the propofol. That's the one. Yeah, propofol. That's a good one. They're good. Mixture. How much do we need? Propofol. How much do we need? Rocuronium. Just stick it in there. We don't care about depth of consciousness monitoring. Depth of consciousness monitoring, if you're not aware, is the one that will monitor the depth of consciousness, right? When you're at surgery, okay, let's say, for example, you're having a surgery, an open heart surgery, okay, your open heart surgery. Well, what does the anesthesiologist do? He monitors your depth of consciousness. That's the point, right? The anesthesiologist will monitor your depth of consciousness. This is what I'm not laughing at the whole situation. That is so it's the gravity of the situation is bad, but I'm laughing at the system, right? The system is so twisted and perverse, right? It's a health system, right? This is supposed to be the health minister, the one that does good things, right? But they're the one that do the most. I mean, in the abortions and the birth control pills that don't prevent pregnancy. The birth control pills doesn't actually prevent pregnancy. It just kills the baby at the early stage of implantation, right? It's just there's been that zygotic genome activation. It's a new set of DNA, 50% from the mother, 50% from the father, and then because of this birth control pill, just causes the early abortion, right? And then the baby, right? Where is this baby? Well, it's going to be expelled from the womb of the mother, and where's this baby now? Literally living in the wastewater system, right? Well, not living, he's dead, right? His remains will not be buried, right, with honor and dignity. Basic human dignity will be in the the wastewater system because of these doctors are literally brainwashing these underage girls to have this promiscuous lifestyle and all this. So this is a nonsense thing. This is a nonsense thing. Anyway, that's not the topic of today's video. The topic of today's video is made without an anesthesiologist. And I'm sure everybody can agree, from all the way to the hardcore atheist, militant atheists, all the way to the left, right? On the left, right? Where's my left? Over here. Left, all the way to the right, the 6,000-year-old Earth, flat Earth, geocentric, Christian, dinosaur guys, right? And, by dinosaur, I mean biblical dinosaurs, prophecy, the time of Jacob's trouble, those guys. Everybody can agree to the Big Bang Theory on the left, hardcore atheists, abortion-loving feminists over there, to the Christians all the way to the right. People that want to defend their culture and their heritage. I can't agree that, what I was going to say. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, made without an anesthesiologist is cruel. It's barbaric. It's just, what are we doing? What kind of? It doesn't matter. There's no complaints. Yeah, there's no complaints. So then it's okay. There's no complaints. It doesn't matter if it's unethical, right? This whole thing about the depth of consciousness monitoring. The whole thing about the crows. That's the worst part of it all. The crows. Oh man, Denise. Oh, poor Denise, man. Nice lady again. The crows. This whole thing. It's just not right. There's something very wrong about it. And, it's hard to explain it without getting emotional and all. Okay, so I could make this video. Yes, made of medical assistants dying without the use of an anesthesiologist is barbaric and cruel, and it's also unethical. But I try to animate the video a little bit to be a little bit more interesting for some reason. I guess I should be less animated, I guess. I'll try that in my next video, I promise. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.